During the filming of this podcast, I speak on the passing of The Rock's father, Rocky Johnson. At the conclusion of this podcast, it came to my attention that The Rock had just sent out a heartfelt message of his own for his father. If you don't mind, before we start this podcast in its entirety, I'd like to recite what The Rock had wrote for his father. You broke color barriers, became a ring general, and trailblazed your way through this world. I was the boy sitting in the seats, watching and adoring you, my hero from afar. The boy you raised to always be proud of our cultures and proud of who and what I am. The boy you raised with the toughest of love, the intense work, the hard hand. The adoring boy who wanted to know only your best qualities, who then grew to become a man realizing you had other deep, complex sides that needed to be held and understood. Son to father, man to man. That's when my admiration for you turned to respect. And my empathy turned to gratitude. Grateful that you gave me life. Grateful you gave me life's invaluable lessons. Dad, I wish I had one more shot to tell you I love you before you crossed over to the other side, but you were ripped away from me so fast without warning. Gone in an instant, and no coming back. I'm in pain, but we both know it's just pain and it'll pass. Now I'll carry your mana and work ethic with me, as it's time to move on because I have my family to feed and work to accomplish. Finally, I want you to rest your trailblazing soul man. Pain-free, regret-free, satisfied and at ease. You lived a very full, very hard, barrier-breaking life and left it all in the ring. I love you, Dad, and I'll always be your proud and grateful son. Go rest high. R.I.P. Soul Man, Rocky Johnson. And he ended it with the great GOAT emoji. Rest in peace, Rocky Johnson. 75 years young, always remembered. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Good morning, or afternoon, evening, night, wherever you are in the world. Thank you for tuning in and letting the Amplified Man talk some pro wrestling with you guys. For this 49th ever edition of the podcast, hard to believe we're only one away from 50, but time flies when you're having fun. Now, this week's podcast, we do have a little bit more of a serious topic to discuss, and it has to actually do with a video that I put up just a couple of days ago. It revolved around the whole Triple H Paige situation. By now, you guys should know what that situation is. I'm not going to rehash it in this video. You guys can pause this, stop this, and go back to the video I put up just a few days ago. You'll see the thumbnail. It literally just says, "And here they go again." It's got the photo of Triple H and Paige. And sure enough, that goes over the situation. But to simplify it for you, get you caught up, Triple H made a joke, supposedly. Paige got upset and offended, supposedly, and that led to a huge media scrum. CNN's involved, Fox News is involved, MSNBC's involved. This is a true story. If you Google up Triple H apology or Triple H Paige, you see stories from CNN, Fox News. This is real stuff. So, this took on kind of a life of its own, and did it need to do that? First of all, was it a joke or was it not? That's a discussion within its own right? That's what that whole video just a couple of days was all about. Was it a joke or not? This video has a little bit of an update because Triple H has since went and apologized within the last 24 hours. So now that opened up Pandora's box even more. Now that opened up a whole new stream of opinions from the pro wrestling community. The pro wrestling world at large now. Wow, Triple H apologized. He should have never done that. It was just a joke. And then the other side is saying, just a joke? That is your employee. That's not just like one of the boys or one of the gals joking with one of the other boys or one of the other gals. This is a boss of a multi-billion-dollar company. Right up there with the old man, Vincent Kennedy McMahon. That's his right-hand man. They are the executives. They're the top of the heap, the top of the mountain. You can't be making jokes about somebody who is anorexic and suicidal because of that kind of shaming. So that side is saying that. The other side is saying this society we live in today, this world that we're in today, it's gotten soft. And now these two sides are smashing, button heads. They're coming together, and they each have such strong opinions. So that's where the amplified man comes in. Who's wrong and who's right? Well, what if I told you, and I hate playing the middleman here and playing both sides, but what if I said this didn't even need to get to where it's gotten? Nobody's truly wrong. They're right. This world has gotten soft. It just has. As somebody who grew up differently, maybe my outlook on it all and the way that I view things is a little skewed. I grew up in projects, and through nobody's fault but my own, many mistakes that I've made, I've been to prison. So when you've been through the projects, when you've been through prison, yes, you are hardened to another level. And then you see the world and where we're at today, and everybody's getting offended at every little joke. So yes, they're right. To the amplified man, the world has gotten soft. They just have. Nobody can take a joke anymore. But on the flip side, they're not wrong either. It's clear she put it out there into the world in many interviews that after these whole tapes got leaked, that she became anorexic, suicidal, and mentally was just damaged beyond repair even. She's still to this day trying to get back to the old Paige. This is her words in a roundabout way, but that was the entire gist. So if you know that, or as her boss, you should know that, is that the appropriate joke that you should be making? Guys, the answer here is simple. No. No. Anybody that says it was just a joke, you are right. It was just a joke. It was just ill-advised. You probably, as a boss, should not be making that type of joke to your employee. That's just the way it is. And again, I agree with you. Everybody has gotten soft, and I wish we could joke more with one another. But that, in any realm, in any business, I don't think that's a proper joke to be making to your employee. That's number one. Number two, knowing what Paige has been through because of it, knowing the brinks to which it took Paige, that in itself should make you think, probably shouldn't go there, because the joke was about her being a slut. Let's be honest. Let's not hide around the fact that that's what the joke was supposed to be. And when everybody laughed in that room, Triple H stopped. He paused the interview. He looked at the people that were laughing and he said, "Thank you. Thank you." In other words, you got the joke. Because it's Paige, get it? So guys, this wasn't just an in-passing joke. Triple H is a very, very smart dude. He knew the joke he wanted to hit. He knew when it landed and everybody laughed that it was funny. He got the rise out of them. It's Paige, get it? She probably has kids that she doesn't even know about. So Triple H knew exactly where he wanted that joke to land and how hard he wanted it to hit. Again, the problem with that, even for the people that I agree with, that say the world has gotten soft, and we're all living in this politically correct BS that we can't even joke with one another, I agree with you. The bottom line here is that in all ways that you look at it, Triple H is wrong, right? He just is. The boss should not be making that type of joke about any employee, even if they didn't have a past. Like Paige did. But the fact that Paige did have that past, the fact that Paige was that damaged afterwards and still to this day, and you still either refuse to acknowledge that or just seem to have forgotten that, and you made that type of a joke that really hurt her. So yes, an apology was going to have to be made in private no matter what. Did Triple H have to go public and tell everyone that he apologized? Because that's what he did. That's in the eye of the beholder. If you're asking me, the answer is easily and simply, of course he had to tell the world that he apologized to Paige, because, here it is again, guys, you gotta think, CNN, Fox, MSNBC, all these major news outlets were covering this story. So Triple H, from a business standpoint, remember, he's the executive. That's the whole reason he shouldn't have been making the joke in the first place. Because he is in that spot, he had to publicly announce to the world that he apologized. And if you Google up Triple H apology to Paige, or however you want to word it, you see stories from CNN, MSNBC, Fox. This isn't just wrestling news coverage. You see, Triple H apologizes to Paige, and it tells the world, oh, he admits his wrongdoing. He should not have made that joke. Because if he didn't do that, Triple H would be labeled many things. Triple H would then be in the hot seat. And anybody and everybody can use that against him for years to come. Triple H didn't want that. So from a business standpoint, even if those people that think the world's gotten soft and he should never apologize, he should have never done that. Or it should have just been in private. And even then, they feel he should never have apologized. If you feel that way, that's cool, but you're not using your dome piece. You're not understanding how the world works, and I really hope that you never have a business of your own, and you're the owner or / boss, because you're not going to know how to run things. You cannot talk about your employees like that, not even in a joking way. So Triple H had no choice but to apologize and make it publicly known that he has, because again, CNN, Fox, MSNBC, guys, these major news outlets were covering this. Vince McMahon was probably telling him straight out, you better apologize and do it quick and tell the world that you did it. But Triple H and Stephanie McMahon probably already had that hashed out to do such to Paige. So I hope you guys realize that the apology that Triple H made to Paige, whether you think he should have or not, because it got such mainstream coverage, he had no choice. They were waiting for him to say something. Hello, you hurt your employees' feelings this much. And then all of this stuff, the non-wrestling fans, if you will, that are making these stories on CNN and Fox and such, the ones that don't know the history, they start learning about Paige and her history and how far she got hurt after those tapes leaked and how far she went to almost ending it all. And then they're like, wow, this Triple H dude is mean as hell. And he won't even apologize? So and again, you're thinking, BC, well, then this is insincere then if he's doing it just for media and such. You're right. It's absolute. I honestly believe, knowing Triple H, I'm not saying he's a bad dude. But this is absolutely most likely anyway. I say absolutely most likely. But I would give it at least 50%. This is pretty insincere. This is because he has to do such. If you know Triple H, he's not really one to go back on his jokes. I mean, he's known as a joker. And if he goes back and apologizes for all of his jokes, he's probably going to spend a whole week doing such out of a month. But this is absolutely because he was forced to. Now, I like to think there's a humanistic character in him that understands Paige's pain and says, hey, I didn't mean to do that. It was literally just a joke. I didn't think about it, which I should have. And that type of apology. And hopefully he's done that in private. But if you guys are upset because he publicly made it known that he did apologize, you have to understand, guys, it's a game. Business is a game. And when you have people like CNN, Fox, and such covering you, you have to apologize publicly, or at least make it known that you did talk to this person. So don't get carried away and get all huffy-puffy pissed off. This is obviously a game that Triple H has to play. He is the top of the game. No pun intended. Now, what I want to talk, so that's the apology. And guys, this is exactly what Triple H said over on social media. He said, I've reached out to Paige to apologize. I made a terrible joke, and I'm sorry if I offended her or anyone else. Paige also did respond, and she said they'll be getting together, meaning her and Triple H, and talking a lot about things. So it doesn't look like Paige is done with Triple H. It seems like Paige wants to talk a lot more about this. She also says, I don't want to talk about it anymore here, in other words, with the world. The internet has done a good enough job on that. And that leads me to what I really want to discuss. Okay, because Paige says, I don't want to talk about it anymore on these type of platforms because the internet has done enough. But Paige is the one that started all of this. Not to sound like that 5-year-old, you started it, but she did. Triple H made an ill-advised joke, no question, in private Paige should have went to Triple H and said, listen, I saw this. That's not cool, man. Please don't do that. I've had such a tough time with that. I feel like that was kind of classless. And Triple H, right there, face to face, I bet you, because a humanistic side of Triple H is very real, Triple H would have said, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't even think about that, which is my mistake. Totally apologize, that won't happen again. Paige they probably would have embraced in a nice hug, probably had some fucking tea time with Charlotte and Becky. Who knows? But instead, Paige decided to take the clip of that joke, repost it on her social media, and say my own boss jokes about me. No wonder you guys still do too. I understand she was feeling pain there. I understand she was hurt, and somebody that she looked at as a boss put her down like that in a joke. But you could have and you should have done it much differently, as in private. Once you made a big spectacle about it on your page, on your social media, guess what, Paige? You made it a huge spectacle that it probably was not going to be in the first place. If Paige never reposted that, it wouldn't have been such a big deal, I'm telling you guys. Paige made it a big deal on social media, on the internet. Paige brought it to the internet. And then now she's upset because the internet, in her words, has done a good enough job at exposing this story. Well, Paige, you brought it to the limelight. You must have done it for a reason. You wanted Paul Levesque, Triple H, to get heat. Real life heat. Well, you succeeded, Paige. He got that real life heat. Everybody knows, even the ones that say the world has gotten soft, everybody knows deep down that that was an ill-advised joke, right? It was not right to do. We all can admit that. I hope we're all humanistic at least to that point. This has nothing to do with being soft or not. This doesn't even have anything to do with being offended by everything or not. This is just right or wrong. Even somebody without a history. Paige, right, who we know has went through that whole ordeal and is still trying to come out of that. But that's why everybody is really feeling that this was ill-advised or wrong. But aside from that, it's just the fact that it's your boss. I mean, if that was your boss at Mickey D's or Walmart or the local car wash, that's one thing. That's bad enough. But in this multi-billion-dollar company, and I understand, again, it's just right and wrong, guys, but I understand everybody going, nobody can take a joke anymore. I'm one of those people that is advocating against this soft world we live in. I'm one of those people that can't stand the fact that nobody can take a joke anymore. I can't stand the fact that we've gotten soft as a society and in this world. I can't stand that. But I don't let it skew my way of thinking when it comes to right and wrong. This is just wrong. It is. It's for so many reasons. But no, under normal circumstances, if Paige did not expose this, Triple H would have never needed to publicly apologize and make this a bigger deal than it was. We never should be talking about this. This should have been done in private. Ill-advised joke, Paige is upset, goes to Triple H backstage, talks to him, they hash it out, they hug it out, they have some tea, some crumpets. Who knows what Mr. Greenwich does when he's having a bonding moment. But instead, Paige puts Triple H on blast. There's no need for that. The hell are you going to put him on blast for? Because all you're doing is you're putting yourself on blast. Yes, several people saw that and sent that to Paige, so it was out there in the world a little, but it wasn't on some grand stage. If nobody really brought that to the limelight, you're good. And even if some Joe Schmo nobody brings it to the limelight, okay, his 16 followers are gonna do what? You would have been fine. Nobody was really gonna take this story seriously because it didn't look like Paige or Triple H were. But when Paige did that, everything kind of took a turn for the absolute worst. And here we are today talking about Triple H having to apologize for this joke. And everybody in the wrestling world, everybody in the wrestling community is taking their sides. Everyone's too soft. It was just a joke. And the other side, no it wasn't. He's mean. He's an asshole and this should have never been done. Well, let's talk about the reasoning that you say such. You guys gotta come together and find a middle ground, or else you're just gonna keep spewing at one another. Sometimes I feel I'm the only one that can take a little bit of everything and come to the most logical conclusion. Triple H is an asshole. He should never... You're just coming around to that. Of course Triple H is an asshole. You're right. Guys, who's saying everyone's soft these days? They are right, though. Triple H is an asshole. That's not even bringing him down, by the way. Triple H is an ass. We know that. You follow the trajectory of his career. He's an ass. He'll admit that at times, I'm sure. I'm sure I'm not breaking news here. And I like Triple H for the most part, by the way. But he's an ass. I could be an asshole at times. But Triple H is there. That's not breaking ground. That's why I say there is a level of insincerity in this public apology. I know, just knowing Triple H, I know there's a level of insincerity there. But he had to do it. But of course he's an asshole. You know, a big part of him. We've seen that time and time again, and time again. And for the other side, saying the world's gotten soft and can't take jokes. They're right too. They're right. The world's gotten soft. They can't take jokes. So you guys are right if you come together and you just talk about it. But no, social media, you guys are just flipping out on one another. And it forces me to make an update video like this. Again, Triple H's public apology on social media. I've reached out to Paige to apologize. I made a terrible joke, and I'm sorry if I offended her or anyone else. That was Triple H's words. Paige responded with, they'll be getting together when asked about this. This is how she responded. They'll be getting together and talking about a lot of things. I don't want to talk about it anymore. The internet has done a good enough job at that. Well, that's because you made us talk about it, Paige. You're the one who broke the story on your social media and talked about how bad that made you feel. So a lot of people came to your defense. At the surface, whether you laughed at it, let's just play make-believe. What if Paige laughed at it, right? Paige joked about it, right? There's been past tweets in Paige's tweet career where she was telling Zelina Vega that she couldn't take a joke. You guys remember that? Among others. That's just one that I recently just saw on social media. Somebody kind of refreshed that. So you can tell other people that they can't take a joke. So let's play make-believe. What if she laughed at the joke? Would it still be the right joke to be made if the person, the target of the joke, found it funny? I have the answer for you. Yes, it would still be ill-advised. It would still be wrong. Just because the world has gotten soft does not mean that we can continue to be douches to one another. Doesn't mean that we can continue to be cruel and rude to one another, right? If you know somebody has that much of a problem with something that happened in her past, you gotta be a little bit more sensitive to the joke that you're about to tell about your employee. You guys get what I'm saying? This isn't just one of the gals joking about one of the gals. This isn't one of the boys talking about one of the boys in the locker room. If you don't see that, and you're just walking around saying, the world's gotten soft, nobody can take a joke. Again, for the 100th time in this video, I agree. But if that's just your stance, and you see no wrong in what H did, and you see no reason at all to apologize, at least even in public, I'm sorry. In private, at least in private, apologize to Paige. If you don't see a reason for that, you're definitely not somebody that I want to have a fucking beer with, because then I can't talk beyond just bro to bro. You know, I can't talk about making shit better in any aspect of the world, because you'll just be stuck in that bro world. And speaking, you're talking to somebody who's been through the projects and prison. I'm as hardened as they come, bro. But even I know the world that I want to live in. And if jokes have to be made that further push somebody into that much of a depression, it's not needed. And if I'm the boss of somebody, I'm not making those jokes to my employees. If you are, that's fine. Maybe my level's a little bit fucking higher. Maybe the real ones that are soft is them people. Right? Because the soft people to me are the ones that can't distinguish right from wrong. The soft people to me are the ones that throw those stones over to others and then run away when stones are being thrown back instead of taking that shit. That's soft. S-A-W-F. No, I'm playing. It's a little bit of Enzo. You become not soft. You become really something that you could be proud of. You come into yourself. You find yourself the most when you grow and mature. And you look at other people's feelings and you actually give a shit. That's something I never had growing up. I never had the chance to. I always was in these situations where I had to be extra hard. I had to make sure that I was always grizzled and always had a mean mug, in the projects in prison and just growing up. And then you move to New York City and you're on those New York City streets in your early 20s. You have to be a certain way. You have to be mean mugging. You have to have your fucking delts out, your arms out. You have to show the world that you're not to be messed with. But as you grow and mature and you appreciate yourself more, you give yourself some slack, you cut yourself some slack, you allow yourself to drop your delts a little, you allow yourself to smile a little, and you allow yourself to not just care about yourself, but care about other people, man. I like that kind of world. So we have to find the balance of what is a joke that people need to relax on and let be, and what's a joke that's just not needed or warranted. There is a fine line, because let's not forget, guys, at the end of most of these jokes, it has to do with a human being. And a lot of these human beings are the target of these jokes. They don't handle it so well. A lot of suicides happen from bullying, and a lot of bullying stems from jokes, and jokes catch on to others, and before you know it, everybody's laughing. But they have to be laughing at someone, right? Yeah. One person who's looking at everybody else laughing at them. It's fine for you. You go to bed at night and you go, oh, it's just a joke, relax, don't be soft. And you go to bed. That person's going to bed knowing that everybody's laughing at him and he's the laughing stock, he's the joke, he's the clown. It's easy to say, oh, he should be as tough as me. Not everybody is, man. You don't know what people have dealt with in the past. My thing is, let's just be better as a world, man. We could still make jokes and have fun, but it doesn't always have to be at somebody's expense in a crude or rude way. If you don't think that this one is rude, crude, or shouldn't have happened, this joke should not have been said, you're just wrong. You just are. I'm giving you many reasons why H should not have said that. But he did. People laughed. Triple H stopped the interview. He said, thank you. You get the joke. It's Paige. Get it? She slept around. Is it needed? Nah. It's a joke, BC. BC, it's a joke, man. I know. I said it was. I agree with you. This whole half an hour was for what? I'm trying to tell you. I understand it was a joke. I understand the world's gotten soft. I also understand, and I hope you do, that this was a bad, ill-advised joke. It was. And Paige is not innocent here. She should not have drawn this out on social media. And then when it became a big story to the point where CNN and Fox are handling it, now she's like, wow, the internet's taking this too far. They got carried away. Paige, you exposed your boss, man, when you could have done this in private. So for the Amplified man, everybody's in the wrong here. This is a situation that I've spent way too much time on this week, and it was all for nothing. People just need to be smarter. H and Paige. Sip of coffee, and we'll continue this podcast. I got a few more stories for you guys. All right, let's get the second half of this podcast rocking. I can't believe that it's 2 separate videos. I probably, if you combined it, have dedicated the better part of an hour to this story. the better part of an hour of something that started as an ill-advised joke and took on a life of its own. All because people refuse to do things in private anymore. First of all because people refuse to think about things before they say it. And then on top of that, people refuse to do anything in private anymore. Everything's got to be publicly out there. You got to show your public outrage. Otherwise, is it truly outrage? Everybody just needs to make right decisions more times than they make wrong decisions. If you get up every morning and you make more good choices than bad, more right choices than wrong, I assure you, you're going to contribute positively to the world. Don't be a numbskull. Speaking of Triple H, he met with Killer Kross recently, we're hearing now, and that shouldn't come as a shocker, right? They just signed Scarlett Bordeaux, which is girlfriend slash fiance slash wife. One of them, pick. I never know who's engaged anymore or who's actually a wife or a girlfriend. I don't care about that, man. But his significant other, Scarlett Bordeaux, has already been signed up. So, of course, Killer Kross was next. He's the big free agent out there. We've heard the rumblings for a while now. So it's no surprise to the Amplified Man that Triple H has met with Killer Kross. Now, I know a lot of people are thinking, if this happens, keep them separate. Let them have their own identities. But guys, let's be honest. If they come together again like they have been in the past, they're a pretty formidable badass duo. We're not talking about Mike and Maria Kanellis here. You know, Bordeaux and Kross. That's something that, if done correctly, could be pretty prominent. Just like Andrade and Zelina, I feel could have been way more prominent than they've been booked to this date. Now, recently, Zelina and Andrade are starting to get that little bit of a push. I'm not going to call it a rocket yet, but a little bit of a push. I want more of that from Andrade and Zelina. But don't think for 1 second that if they do put Bordeaux and Kross together, that it's not going to be dominant. They just have to do it correctly. Give it the fine detail and attention that they deserve. Just don't throw them together and job them out 50-50 booking and put them in useless storylines. That's obviously going to derail them right from the beginning. They're not even going to be fully on the track before they get derailed. But I'm not entirely shocked that Triple H indeed is having these formidable meetings now with Kross. You shouldn't be either. Don't be shocked if in the near future you're hearing Kross is indeed signed with WWE. Do I even talk about Tessa Blanchard? Tessa Blanchard has issued a statement. I don't even want to... I'm so done with the Triple H Paige situation that I don't even want to go further with the Tessa situation. But she has put out a statement on her social media talking about her woes lately. It only covers half of the woes, by the way. She doesn't even touch the topic of the other bullying with the other 100 females that have come up. But that's just a story that maybe I'll talk about in an update video in the future, but I don't have the patience for it right now. And I know Axl Rose has taught us to have a little patience. I just don't have it right now. Paige and Triple H have sucked that out of me for this week's podcast. SmackDown's preview for tonight. In just a few hours, SmackDown goes live from Greensboro, North Carolina. They got 3 main focal points that they're tuning in on and zoning in on. John Morrison's return to the ring is tonight against Big E from the New Day. There'll be a tables match between Robert Roode, the returning Robert Roode, and Roman Reigns. Again, that's going to be a tables match. And Lacey Evans versus Sasha Banks is supposed to finally happen this week. Now, I say finally because 2 weeks ago, that was the advertised match by Fox, and it never happened. They actually, I don't even believe, mentioned it on the show. And then last week it was supposed to happen again, but Bayley showed up on the Tron and said Sasha's finishing up a rap album in L.A., a real city, you know, kind of try to get some heat from the crowd in attendance. And then this week they're promoting it yet again. So this is the third try to get this match going. I wouldn't be shocked if yet again it doesn't happen. So don't be too surprised if it doesn't, because now it looks like it's just a trend. For some reason, we can't get Lacey and Sasha. And let's be honest, do we need to see Lacey and Sasha anyway? No. So they're drawing this out for what reason, I have no idea, other than that's what the old man, that's his way of thinking. This is fun. People are really into this. No. We're into seeing Sasha Banks compete, but we could see Sasha Banks in there with a grapefruit, and it's going to be a damn good match. It's Sasha Banks. Just give us the match or don't. But drawing this along for what reason? Sasha and Lacey's feud is pretty non-existent. So that's your SmackDown preview for tonight. Before I end this podcast, guys, I do want to just discuss The Rock and his father, Rocky Johnson. At the age of 75, Rocky Johnson, his father, has passed away. And as sad as that is, you do have to put it in perspective and find some solace in this, right? As fans of Rocky Johnson, or just The Rock that are feeling his pain today, you gotta see 75 years old, man. Yes, some people look at that as really young, but you can also look at that as a full life. 75 years when you have kids that are born with diseases and whatnot, and they don't get to see the age of 2, 3 years old. You know, if somebody tells you at the very start that you're at least gonna get 75, you know, you at least gotta find solace in that. So The Rock had his father with him right into, The Rock is in his 40s now, correct? Late 40s, maybe? I don't want to age him too much, but, you know, so many people in this world don't get that. And The Rock has to find solace in that, and fans do as well. It's never easy when you lose a loved one, especially a parent, obviously. But The Rock has to find solace in not just that, but also the fact that he had more bonding and quality time with his father over the last several years. This is from The Rock's words himself. The Rock actually was able to buy his father a home recently, a nice big old home. And The Rock told some funny stories about that, in talking about, we might need a fence now for this, his father would tell him. And The Rock's like, yeah, you're going to be able to afford that? And his father's like, nah, you're going to buy the fence. So The Rock at least laughed at it, you know? So they got the bond, and The Rock got to buy his father a house. I mean, these are things that all of us would love to do for our parents, right? Unfortunately, a lot of us don't have the means to do such. But what we do have the means to do is spend quality time with them, because they're not here forever, guys. Unfortunately, we like to put that type of reality on the back burner, right? We don't want to think of that type of situation, about losing a parent or losing a loved one. But the reality, guys, is that is life. You're born, and the day you are born, unfortunately, you begin dying. Just like any plant, you know? You look at it, it's the glass half full, glass half empty, however you look at it. You know, some people see that glass as half empty. The other people, the optimists, they look at that cup as half full. So a lot of people look at that plant or that flower blooming, and, you know, some people look at it for what it truly is. It's living its cycle and then coming back down. You can only go so far. Everything has to come down. I'm sorry to depress you guys and ruin the mood, but, you know, you have to always think that way. You have to remember that, I should say. Don't dwell on it. But remember that everyone's not here forever. You have to say, I love you to the people you love. You have to call and talk to the people that you like in this world and want to spend time with. Go, spend time with them. If life has gotten to be too much, stop it for a second. Stop it for a minute. Stop it for a day. Call that person that you want to spend time with. Set something up. Just go and visit them out of the blue, knock on their door, yo! And if life has caught up to them, you take them! You're coming with me for the day! We're having fun, damn it. We're having some beers. We're going to reminisce and talk about our futures, and we're going to do it together, man. You know, spend time with people, because time flies. And before you know it, you're waking up to bad news like, you know, your loved one is no longer with you. You know, that's the type of situation that we've all had in our lives, and we will continue to have. You know, at some point you gotta say, hey, celebrate the time we have together now, and let's not mourn when we don't have that time. This took such a sad turn, I know. Now everyone's gonna be looking at a blossoming flower and being like, it's not blossoming, it's dying. I don't mean that. I mean, it is blossoming, you know, it's growing, it's living its best life. I'm just saying that it's living the course of it, though. The end result is the same for all of us. You know? Nothing is forever. Unless you're the Ultimate Warrior, remember that? The Ultimate Warrior is forever! I used to love that, man. Anyway, see, I ended it on a positive note. The Ultimate Warrior! Then again, that makes us sad because he's no longer with us, so that depresses us. So I guess we are ending on a depressing note. Anyway, I'm getting out before I make you guys start fucking tearing up. Amplified, man, that's the 49th podcast. I'll see you guys next week for the 50th. We've reached 50 episodes. Couldn't have done it without all you guys. Much love always. And no matter how you feel in this world, again, guys, if you just feel the world's gotten soft, which I totally hear you, if you just think that people are more of an asshole today than usual, and then I hear you too, but come together and talk about it and see other people's, just get a feel for them and see if you could take anything they're saying and say, hey, I understand, and then you understand what they're saying. And maybe you have this crazy thing called a conversation. Get off your phones for a second and have some human interaction. And maybe people will start understanding one another more, And if you use common sense and logic, you'll understand right and wrong. Everybody universally should know what's right and what's wrong. That should not be a discussion. The wrestling world is just like every other community in the world. You just have people that refuse to use logic and common sense, and they just want to be tougher than the other people, Or they just want to play victim more than the other people. Those both sides have to come together and find out why common sense is not being used. And they have to together find out how to use it. It's not that hard. Talk. Amplified, man. I'll see you guys tomorrow for the SmackDown review and reaction. For now, check you later.